Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. What's going on? Hope everyone's doing all right. It's Friday in America, ain't it? We're over here live from Japan. So it is Saturday morning over here. Woke up a little bit ago. Yeah. A little bit ago, I have some time to kind of do this preview. I was gonna do just a regular video like I always do, but I think for these previews, I might just do them live. For the post-game reaction, I'll actually do the normal video as I normally do it. But for this one, and just to try it out, just gonna do the live stream. So, if people show up, then we can chat and talk about some different things that are on your mind, or any questions that you might have, or any input that you may want to do. As you maybe you can help me in doing these previews and getting after these analysis. So of course we're going to be doing the normal lineup evaluations like we always do. We're going to do that live, and we're going to do lineup evaluations for the Fever and lineup evaluations for the Sun, trying to also explore what some of their best players have been in the fourth quarter, and maybe some of their past playoff performances. And let's see, like, who do we need to be in the lookout for? There was a particular lineup that I was kind of scared about. Whenever I was looking at the top 10 WNBA lineups. The number one lineup this season was a Connecticut Sun lineup that just featured some, I don't know, like it features some like crazy combination of players that had a plus 48 net rating when they were on the floor. So we'll see that, and then how that lineup has been doing over the last, I don't know, 11 to 12 games, whatever the games are after the Olympic break. So we're going to be doing that, and then of course talking about the NaLyssa Smith and Dijonai Carrington dynamic relationship thing. That's one reason why I didn't want the Fever to play the Sun in the playoffs, because that's just weird. I mean, it's just weird to me. It's kind of strange that, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about a playoff match. Can you imagine a playoff matchup that you're going against a significant other? And I think I've seen it, like we've seen this with siblings. And that, I think it works out okay when it's between siblings, but I don't know how that would work against a significant other, against a partner and someone that you're in a relationship with. It's just strange. And then there was another thing. I mean, we'll get into all of that for sure. And then of course, we'll do a prediction to see who I think, or well, as educated prediction as I can possibly deliver. As far as who I think is going to win this series, but it's going to depend, right? Like, my thoughts about who's going to win the series is going to depend as to how the lineups and everything are managed. If they're not managed correctly, then there you go. Is any chats here? I can't see anything, so I don't know if you guys are chatting. My apologies. I'm not seeing anything come through. But yeah, everything's just gonna depend on how they do this whole entire thing. Oh wait. So we'll see. It's an interesting matchup for sure, and I actually think the Sun is the weakest team out of the top 4 teams that made the playoffs, right? So if we look here at the standings real quick, let me just switch my camera. So if we look here at the 4 teams that made the top 4 teams that made the playoffs, so you got the Liberty, the Lynx, the Sun, and the Aces. I think the easiest matchup is the Sun. Like, that's what I'd rather see. Oh, hi, Antonino Afrata. Greetings. Welcome. So yeah, this is who I want to see. Now, of course, the Sun are pretty good defensively. They're probably the best defensive team in the WNBA. So we'll check that too, just to see the team stats for the season. But this is the best possible matchup that a team over here in the bottom 4 can get. You don't want to face the Liberty yet. You don't want to face the Lynx. You don't want to face the Aces, even though they're 4th. You don't want to face them because, I mean, they're the back-to-back champs right now. So I think the Fever got the best possible matchup in this first round, and this is a truly winnable series. So let's do some stats. And for teams that we're gonna do it, not nightly leaders, but we'll do for season leaders, and we'll evaluate some of this. So as you can see, the best scoring teams are the Aces, Liberty, and even the Fever, right? So if you look at the Sun are all the way down here. So this is a big difference, right? Between, I mean, the Fever are 5 full points per game better than the Sun. And I mean, just speaking strictly on offense, right? For the entire season, the Sun are just not that great offensively. So they struggle a little bit to score. I mean, they were even lower than the Mercury. That's kind of crazy because the Mercury didn't seem to me like that big of an offensive powerhouse, but they're even below that. I mean, everyone from 8th and below, well, I guess the Dream made the playoffs. I was going to say, none of these teams made the playoffs, right? The Mercury barely made it. The Mystics didn't make it. Sparks didn't make it. Sky didn't make it. Of course, the Dream didn't make it. And even the Wings, right? So there's even a team here, 4th in scoring, that didn't even make the playoffs, who have like 4 full points better than the Sun. So the Sun shouldn't scare us offensively at all. This is not what they're good at. This is not their strength. They're actually pretty weak on the offensive end. So if you look at field goal percentage, they're not too bad. They're kind of in the middle of the pack. But look at this. Wow, the Fever. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that the Fever had the best field goal percentage this season in the league. That's impressive. That's actually kind of crazy. So we have that Sun in the middle of the pack. 3-point percentage. The Sun again, 6. They're just mediocre at everything, every offensive number, right? Fever are 3rd, 3-point percentage. Free throw percentage. Fever, oh my God, the Sun are terrible. Almost dead last. Almost as bad as the Sky. So they're not really good. And I think the reason for this too, one of their best players is NaLyssa Thomas, and she's not a good free throw shooter. So if she's the one who's getting to the line the most, then that kind of explains why they're so low. But they're just not a good offensive team, right? That just continues to be the trend as we looked at all these different offensive numbers. They're just not great offensively. Sun are inferior. This is their problem. Yeah, their problem is 100% the offense. How do I get to the others? Okay, plus minus over there. Just want to make sure you guys can see this okay. So rebounds. And again, even rebounds, right? Like this is like right now, every category that we've looked at, the Fever are better than them throughout the regular season, right? We looked at points, the Fever were better. Free goal percentage, the Fever are better. 3-point percentage, the Fever are better. Rebounds, it seems like the Fever are better. Assists, I'm sure the Fever are better. Yeah, well, not by much. But assist, the Fever are better. Turnovers, of course, I mean, this is a problem with the Fever, but it's not that much of a difference, although, the Sun are 3rd. So turnovers, It's not too bad. And then steals, of course, yeah, the Sun are really good with steals. This is now their strength right now. So we talk about they take care of the basketball, they steal, they have their hands all over the place. The Fever are not that. We're last in steals. Holy crap! I didn't realize this either. The Fever are dead last in steals for the season. 5.9. So this is a huge difference in defensive, the defensive stat. Blocks, the Sun are not that great, and the Fever are 5th. And of course, the plus minus. It just seems like the Sun have the best combination of players out there for the majority of the time. So this is a coaching thing again. If the team has bought into the coach's game plan and the coach understands their people and puts them together in optimal situations, then this can be the difference between winning or losing the series. And this is where Christie's side worries me, right? It's that understanding of the chemistry of certain players and their effectiveness on the court. This has been like probably all the videos that you've seen that I do. This is what I mention all the time. Give me 1 sec. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I think this series is unfortunately going to come down to coaching. But again, you have the firepower and the Fever as far as the offense, and they're not that bad defensively either. Although, you know, that's kind of the sentiment is that the Fever is pretty bad defensively. But they're not that bad. They're not that bad. So that is the traditional stats for advanced. Let's see what it gives us here for the advanced. So I think the net rating, yeah. So for the season, the Fever had a negative net rating. And to me, that's very telling to me as well. It's a very interesting statistics because as we saw, the Fever were pretty much better than the Sun in every offensive statistic. And then they were not that far behind in defensive statistics. But it's, again, the lineups that you deploy out there. I mean, it really is. I know I'm trying to simplify this and maybe try to blame this whole thing on the coaching staff, but that's what it comes down to. So it seems here that the only team worse than the Fever defensively as far as defensive net rating were the Wings. Yep. So the Sun, according to this, are the best team defensively. The Fever are terrible. We'll do this again, but yeah, the Fever are it's just not good. And then also, according to this, although we saw the Fever have all the stats above the Sun, but the Sun is not, they're not that far out of the Fever. And of course, pace, it should be the Fever mostly, but and the Sun are gonna try to slow the game down as much as possible. So the Sun are dead last in pace, and the Fever are one of the best teams or the fastest teams to play basketball. So pay attention to this, because as you also know, Christie Size tends to want to slow the game down. And if you do that, you're just creating an organic advantage to the Connecticut Sun. So you can't do that. You have to continue to play as fast as possible, as much as you can. And then we'll look also at the lineups that have the best pace for the Fever this season. But I think that's it for these overall team statistics. I'm not sure what else these other statistics are going to give us. No, not much more. Okay, so let's look at lineups. Where do I find the lineups again? Takes me a minute to find it every time. We'll start with just going teams Fever. For as much as I come here, you would think this is automatic for me now, but not. Well, that's the Fever lineups. I want all the lineups. Oh, we have to minimize the minutes a little bit, so I'm gonna do a custom filter for minutes, more than 40 minutes, like we said before, a full WNBA game. And what we get is this scary Connecticut Sun lineup. And then what happened? Did these other ones go down that much? Oh, never mind. Wait. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this Connecticut Sun lineup. And actually this, it seems like this Mystics lineup came out of nowhere to get second, because last time when we checked it, it was Dantas. These two lineups were above this one from the Mystics. So that's interesting, just to see this in real time. But yeah, this Bonner, Thomas, Mitchell, Jones, Harris for the entire season. Look at that, a plus 49. Much better lineup than these Fever ones. So this is a scary lineup, and they play well. They don't play that much, actually. This is interesting. They don't play that much, 48 minutes. So that means that Sun coach hasn't really deployed this lineup that much, but this is their most scary lineup. And then if you go down a little bit more, this one plays only 45 minutes, so even less than that other one at the top, and that's a plus 18. I wonder which lineup for the Sun plays the most. Let's see. Let's go to the Sun. What is their top lineup? Okay, so here we go. 501 minutes. I guess that's their starting lineup of Bonner, Thomas, Jones, Carrington, Harris. Still not bad. But you can tell their focus is defense. Then their second most played lineup, plus 7. 67 minutes. Bonner, Thomas, Jones, Mabry. Wow, Mabry made a huge impact. And this is, again, you remove Carrington and add Mabry, and they're a better team offensively. Like, they improve offensively so much. Defense, they drop, but not too much. And their pace improves as well. So Mabry is significant for their offense. The Sun can only win, or can win only if the rest will allow for the WNBA physicality first policy. Otherwise, they risk to be swept out. Yeah, I mean the refs are going to be a huge factor as well. So in this other lineup that we talked about, plus 49, again, if you remove Carrington and add, I think this is Jones. Who's out of here? That's here. Harris? No, Harris is here. Oh, Jones. No, not Jones. Mitchell. I'm sorry. I'm like, who is it? Mitchell. Yeah, so if you remove from this lineup, you remove Carrington and add Mitchell. That's their crazy, highly effective lineup, which gives you so much better offense and so much better defense. So, I mean, the team is not that bad with Carrington on the floor, but they're better when she's off the floor. And I don't know what this says. I mean, I know that she's on the running for most improved player of the year. Maybe she is. I mean, she's putting up good numbers. I'm just saying, as far as like the lineups and the ratings on the floor, there are better combinations without her on the floor. So that's for them. Yeah, I think this is it. Well, not that one. This one right here. Bonner, Thomas, Mitchell, Jones, Harris. Gotta be careful for that one. And then Mabry. Whenever you bring Mabry in, when Carrington is not on the floor, that's a scary lineup as well. Back to old teams, because I want to do, there are pretty much two WNBA seasons for this season, because there's teams look very different before the Olympic break and after the Olympic break. So let's look at least the last 12 games and see what we can come up with as far as these lineups. Where was it? Old months, old games, last 12 games. Okay, so this Mystic lineup, it's pretty good. And then we look at this Fact Bainley, Mitchell, Hall, Boston, Clark lineup. It's, the second best in the last 12 games. Pretty good offensive rating and pretty good defensive rating. So this is probably the lineup they need to use the more. Although I'm more of a Dantas, but I put 40 minutes. That's why in the last 12 games it has to be less. So we'll put 20 minutes. Okay, so here we go. They're plus. This is plus 29. The Dantas lineup is plus 26. So it's not that big of a difference. That Dantas lineup is still crazy scary. So here you go. This is it. And then what's there in the last 12 games? What's the fee? Can we find another fever? Positive? No, not really. It's just Dantas, Fact Bainley with the core 4. But let's look at fever. Yeah, so if they've played 20 minutes, Fact Bainley, Dantas, everything else is negative. So if you put Samuelson instead, well, this is with Smith, and this is with Smith. Anything with Smith is going to be a bit detrimental. Let's see if we lower the minutes a little bit. The 15 minutes. Yeah, Smith lineup. This is a Dantas, Fact Bainley. See, Dantas and Fact Bainley don't play well together, so you can't play them. But they play well with Boston, right? Boston, to me, Boston and Hull are the factors. Are your positive factors? Are your winners? So you have to be really careful who you play alongside Boston and Hull. Now let's look at the Sun for the last 12 games. What their lineups actually look like, because I think they were killing teams at the beginning of the season. But let's see now. Yeah, that Mabry pickup. Look at this. Bonner, Jones, Mabry, Carrington, Harris. Actually, yeah, with Carrington, the second half of the season, they were really good with Mabry. So this might be their crazy. This is actually the lineup that I'm more scared about with the Sun. Is this Bonner, Jones, Mabry, Carrington, Harris. That is a solid lineup. But look, this is all of their positive net rating on the court for the last 12 games feature Mabry. Isn't that interesting? I don't know if they realized how big of a pickup Mabry was to their team, because before that, what did they have? What could they do? But look at the impact that Mabry has had in this Sun team. If you take out Mabry, they're negative. So pay attention for whenever Mabry is not on the floor. There's negative 3.2 without Mabry. These ones feature Mabry as well, and they're negatives. So, but now you start getting into some of these players that I don't really know. Odota and I'm not sure, Carrington. But This is super telling, interesting as far as the Mabry pickup. And really, Mabry's their best scorer, because I'm not afraid of any of these other players as far as scoring. Oh, and this first lineup, I also didn't see it, but this doesn't have NaLyssa Thomas. And this second one doesn't have NaLyssa Thomas either. And of course, NaLyssa Thomas is the one who's going to play the most minutes, but it doesn't include. That is crazy. Those top two doesn't include NaLyssa Thomas. Anyways, let's look at the Fever. Okay, so the Fever, they don't have that many lineups in the past 12 games who've played at least 15 minutes. But their best, I think we saw this earlier. Yeah, we saw this earlier. And that's the 5-player lineups. And now I want to go back to the Sun. But I want traditional. Oh, wait. We need fourth quarters. You know, I'm a fourth quarter guy, because that's what it tells you for playoff basketball. So let's see, for this Connecticut Sun team, we're gonna lower the minutes to maybe 10 minutes. Hopefully that's enough. And then fourth quarter. There's only one lineup that's played in the fourth quarter, but yeah, the lineup that has played, that's played over 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. But that lineup is, whoa. That lineup is really good. They just mesh really well. I think that's the problem. That Connecticut Sun team just meshes really well. Let's do 5. Rating. Yeah, again, so 5 minutes on the floor with this team, with this lineup: Bonner, Jones, Mabry, Harris, Burton. They've only played 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, plus 65. That's outrageous. And then this one, 8 minutes: Bonner, Thomas, Mabry, Carrington, Harris, plus 49. I mean, it really doesn't matter who you put in there. They are crazy efficient in fourth quarters. Like, is there a negative rating here? Oh, okay. Like, whenever they clear their bench in garbage time, they get destroyed. But this is one of their most prominent lineups, and it doesn't do that well in the fourth quarters. And they played 9 minutes, so Bonner, Thomas, Jones, Mabry, Harris. I think 5 minutes may be too much. I'll do 7 and see in the last 12 games. Yeah, a little bit better, but regardless, they're just super effective in fourth quarters. Now let's look at the Fever. So the Fever, again, they don't have that many lineups, so they've played over 7 minutes. So let's bump that down to 5. Now this is gonna be skewed because I think this lineup went crazy yesterday or something, right? This is the last game. Like, if I put the last game, yeah. This is the last game. I can't. Against the Mystics, that I don't know what the hell was happening in that game yesterday in 5 minutes. This lineup in 5 minutes was apparently a plus 72 on the floor, but. Yeah, okay, so we have to ignore that. So we'll look at this one. Wheeler, Fact, Bentley, Hall, Boston, Clark is a plus 72 in 6 minutes. Actually, let me do 6, just so that we can get that lineup out of there, because it's throwing me off. Okay, so 6 minutes in the fourth quarter in the last 12 games. So 12 games, fourth quarter, FIBA 2024, minimum 6 minutes. The only lineup that has a negative in the fourth quarter is a lineup featuring NaLyssa Smith. It's getting rocked and destroyed. They've played 18 minutes and they're a negative 29.4, almost negative 30. Like the differential is a 30-point differential. This is really bad. And this is super surprising. This is 8 minutes with Dantas, Wheeler, Bentley, Ho, and Clark. Crazy amount of defense. Not good offense, but 24 minutes. So I like to see these because it seems like, you know, for as much as we get after Christie Sides, she's played these lineups more than this one in the fourth quarter, right? And this is her starting lineup, but you can tell that when it comes to fourth quarters, she deploys either the Bentley or the Dantas lineup. So hopefully she maintains that and she keeps that up when it comes to the playoff time. But yeah, 24 minutes of the Dantas, Mitchell, Hole, Boston Clark, they're at plus 20. And with 29 minutes of the Bentley, Mitchell, Hole, Boston Clark, they're at plus 14. Now, is that enough to combat that crazy efficiency of the Sun? I don't know. But if it's me, so if I'm coaching and I have to go with a lineup in the fourth quarter against the Sun specifically, I will go with the Dantas. Because the Sun, normally they're not a really good offensive team. They're really good defensively, so you're going to need to score somehow. You need to score more. So Bentley, you know, it's just defense, but defense for what? You don't really need it against the Sun. You know, like you don't really need that much defense against them. They're not good offensively. So just put as much firepower on the floor as you possibly can and up the pace, because they don't want to play fast. They want to slow the pace. They're the slowest pace. We just saw it. They play the slowest basketball out of everyone in the WNBA. So up the pace. Get all your offensive weapons out there and deploy them at will. That's what I would do in the fourth quarter specifically. So, okay, now we're going back to... Yeah, I'll keep it the last 12 games. And we'll do Fever. We'll do... games. Look at the Fever, and then we'll look at players, traditional. And I want to look at fourth quarter stats again, just to see last 12 games. What happened over here. So field goal percentage. This Wallace numbers. Why is Wallace in here? Last 12 games. She's throwing everything off just based on that one game she played last night. But anyways, 53% for Boston. Mitchell, they have crazy high offensive performance, because even this 42.6, for as much as Caitlin Clark shoots the basketball, this is pretty effective. So this is not bad. 3-point percentage, as we looked earlier. Get out of there, Wallace. You're messing up my thing. Lexi Ho again, 57%. Mitchell, 43% in the last 12 games. Damaris Dantas, right? That's what we have. Yeah, last 12 games. But this is not fourth quarters. My bad. I thought this is all quarters. Let's do fourth quarter. Okay. Now this is a little bit different. Let's look at the field goal percentage again, and we have Wallace. She's again. Pretty good numbers, and then 3-point percentage in the fourth quarter. In the last 12 games? Oh, okay. Boston never hit any in the last 12 games, any 3-pointers. That's why she's 0. But 32%, 33, 33, 40, 50, 53 for Lexi Ho, and 60% for Katie Lou Samuelson. Well, this is the other interesting argument. Like, do you play Samuelson or not in the fourth quarter? I wouldn't, but it's not like she kills you. And then the plus minus for fourth quarters in the last 12 games, you have to ignore a lot of these, but Dantas is a +2. Samuelson plus 1.8, Boston plus 1.7. Yeah, I mean, you can essentially play anybody except NaLyssa Smith. I'm just kidding, NaLyssa Smith. Not really. But for real, though. free throw percentage, we already know Caitlin Clark is lethal at the free throw line in fourth quarters, or any quarter for that matter. Lexi Hall's pretty good. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell. Even NaLyssa Smith, apparently fourth quarters, they're all over 80%. So this is pretty good. Dantas hasn't shot the ball too much from the free throw line in the fourth quarter, but I think she can hit him. Okay, let's look at the Sun. And we look, oh, this is Fever. Let's look at Connecticut Sun real quick. And going to do players tradition. Fourth quarters. Last 12 games. Oh wow. Like nobody takes a bad shot in this team or what? How are they all over 50%? And this is like a large amount of field goal attempts too for fourth quarter situations. Even Mabry, right, who's shooting everything. 46.5%, 48%, 50, 50, 50, 52. That is crazy consistent. So I'm just so surprised by their offensive numbers. But do they just step it up in the fourth and they suck in other quarters? Like, what is this? This is pretty good still for third quarters. What is happening? So there's got to be somewhere, it's got to be off. 55, 50, 50, 43. Yeah, 43, 42. You see a bit of a drop in the third quarter. What about first? Not too much. Yeah, so I don't know why they were so low in field goal percentage. Well, this is the last 12 games. Anyway, that's kind of scary. I'm kind of regretting doing this exercise. 3-point percentage. Carrington, lights out in fourth quarters. Burton, lights out in fourth quarters. Mabry's pretty good in fourth quarters. They all hit at a pretty high clip. Free throws, this is kind of where they drop. They're not very good free throw shooters. And this is surprising. Mabry, who's such a great shooter, she can't hit free throws. And their plus minus, yeah, Bonner is their monster. Mabry also. Everybody's in the plus. Especially everybody that plays significant minutes for the Sun, they're all in the plus. Oh, when it comes to fourth quarters. Very interesting numbers here. Let's see, what else can we look at? I think that's pretty much what I wanted to see as far as the lineups and the statistics for number comparisons. So we'll touch on the NaLyssa Smith and Dijonai Carrington thing real quick, and then go with the playoff matchup prediction. So there was a clip that I wanted to share with you guys. Let me see if I find it. Oops. Let me see if I find it real quick. It was a game that happened, the last game that happened between the Sun and the Fever. And I guess they stayed back after the game was done. Of course, the Fever won, and then they stayed back. NaLyssa Smith and Dijonai Carrington, and it seems like NaLyssa Smith wanted to take a picture with her. See if I find it. I may not be able to find it. Someone posted it. I think it was some sort of short or something, but it was telling like as far as like who the boss of the relationship is. It's just I'm speculating, right? This is just based on an observation. I don't know like who's in charge in you know in their relationship, but it looked like it was Dijonai. So how is that going to affect NaLyssa Smith come for the game for the playoff matchup? I don't know. So if I'm Christie's side, I'm avoiding placing NaLyssa Smith on the court in high pressure situations only because her focus might dwindle. And I think that happens in normal games already, but it might happen to an even larger extent uh, being on the court. And is she gonna feel a certain way about being on the floor? Is she gonna be as aggressive as she needs to be as far as defense and everything else? If Dijonai Carrington's on the floor, I just don't know. It's just an interesting dynamic that I've never encountered, never seen before in sports. Spouses competing against one another in these type high level, playoff matchups. So I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make of that. Maybe there's nothing. Maybe there is, but it's the only thing that I didn't want. The only reason I didn't want the Fever playing the Sun. Um, so so we'll see how that develops and how Christie Size is able to manage that and how each player is able to manage that too, right? Because I mean, if it's weird for us, it's definitely gotta be weird for them. For Smith and Carrington, or maybe not. Maybe they have a pretty good understanding that I mean, we're professionals. We're just gonna approach it. This is our profession. We have to, give everything we've got. So maybe that's what it is. But even if you approach it that way, the mind plays tricks on you in the moment, right? Like once you're in the moment, you might say and approach it a certain way, but then things develop differently on the floor. So prediction. Team by team, I like the Fever, right? I like the Fever. I think the Fever should win this playoff series, but what they lack is they lack a coaching staff. I mean, that's really it. And it appears to me that the coaching staff for the Sun is really good. Let me see, who's the coach for who's the see who the name for the coach of the Connecticut Sun coach. Stephanie White. Let's see some of these credentials for Stephanie White. Career history. Oh, so she was the coach of the Fever 2015-2016, which was the last. Was that the last season that they went to the playoffs? So she was an assistant for the Fever from 2011 to 2014, and then became the head coach from 2015 to 2016. So that was Tamika. What was her name? Oh my god, I forget her name. Mickens? What? Started watching WNBA this season. I don't know their names, but whoever the Indiana Fever's best player was throughout the years, she was the coach for her. So yeah, and then she coached Vanderbilt for 5 years, and then started coaching the Sun. And from the moment that she started coaching the Sun, they made it to the playoffs. So. And okay, so 2012. Okay, so yeah, she won the championship with the Fever back in 2012. She was coach of the year last season. I can tell why. Oh yeah, and she took the Sun to the finals too, huh? Yeah, I could tell. I mean, I didn't really know anything about her. I just could tell that she knows who to put on the court at what time. So that's a huge advantage that they have in coaching. The Fever do on top of the. I mean, the Sun have a coaching advantage over the Fever. and it's a significant one, right? If I tell you right now, if Stephanie White was coaching the Fever, I would tell you that the Fever would win this series. But you know that uh, right now it seems like the Sun are playing really well together. Um, they have pretty good chemistry. They understand their roles, and that's important. But we have a lot of uh, people that are still trying to figure out what their roles are within the Fever team. Um, and even Christy Sides is trying to figure out her role and where she's supposed to step in, or what things she should be talking to her players about, or what lineups to deploy at what time. So that's it, right? And sometimes you can have the right combination of personnel, but the whole organization has to be on the same page and has to understand what they're trying to do, and they have to be getting after, or pursuing the same vision. And I don't think the Fever are there yet. It is understandable, right? They are a brand new team. A lot of it a pretty brand new organization as well, because Lynn Dunn, when did she take over? Okay. Um, Trying to see when Lynn Dunn took over as executive. History. 2023, so last year. So you're only 1 year as general manager of the team, and then I'm sure she hired potentially some new people in management in the organization, a new coaching staff, and then after that you add Aaliyah Boston, and then after that you add Kaylin Clark, and then this combination of players. So I mean, organizationally, they're not on the same page. You see these other organizations that top to bottom, they remain consistent. Like if you look at the New York Yankees, although they haven't won many titles, but they have the same ownership group, the same general manager group over the years. Same thing with the San Antonio Spurs, right? It's been the same general manager, the same owners, the same coaching staff over the year. Players come and go, but you have that constant, so they know the vision. They understand where they want to be as an organization. Same thing with the Golden State Warriors, right? It's just been for so long, and with the Golden State Warriors, they had a good organization in place, but they felt like they needed to replace Mark Jackson, so they brought in Steve Kerr. It's just one coach, but the rest of the organization and the players are intact. The Fever are in such a position that they're still trying to figure out everything as far as what they want to do, and get the buy-in from everyone as to what that vision looks like. And I don't know what that vision looks like, but I can tell that they haven't figured it out, and there's some sort of chaos, disorganization, no structure. And I'm not saying the organization there's no structure there. I can tell because of the decisions that Christy Sides makes on the floor. Not one game has looked similar to another game. So she has changed everything in every game. As far as the rotations, when to sub out Clark, when to bring in what player in, like every single game that I've watched this season has looked entirely different. And that's not good for the players. And I've talked about this, right? That is not good for the players, because as a worker, right? Imagine if you go to work and nobody tells you anything, and you show up at 7:30 in the morning and they tell you, hey, today you're going to be working the truck. Oh, okay. And then at lunch, they're like, hey, never mind, we're going to have you on the computer for a little bit. Okay. And then you go in the next day, you're like, hey, actually, you're not going to, at 7:30, yeah, you're going to be doing trash stuff. Okay. It's like there is no rhythm. So you go in confused. You're like, I don't even know what they're going to have me doing today. You have to have some consistency and know exactly what it is that works and go with that. But that's the problem. They haven't figured out what it is that works, which is scary. But I know I have to make a prediction. I've tailored my expectations as far as this team, that while I know that it is probably the best team in the WNBA right now that, like I said, is mismanaged. I don't think they'll win the title this year. Do they win this series? And this is where I have the most difficulty trying to make a prediction. Um, Listen, one thing is clear about the Fever and the Sun, and that is that the Fever has Caitlin Clark and the Sun don't. So, based on that alone, I'm going to say that the Fever win in 3 games. And here's the thing too, like, the Sun better sweep the Fever, because if they don't, good luck trying to win the game in Indiana. That game, I mean, if we've thought that those games have been crazy so far, wait till the playoffs. Like, these players in the WNBA and especially in the Sun, they've probably never experienced an environment like the one they're about to find or encounter in Indiana for playoff basketball on a game 3 winner takes all game. Like, so they better sweep them. They better win those 2 games in Connecticut, because otherwise, Gainbridge Fieldhouse is gonna go bananas, and it's gonna be hard to win that game just in the psychology of things, right? I mean, and the environment in Connecticut is gonna be crazy as well, but yeah. Stuart, thanks for the comment. Yeah, the Sun need to sweep, otherwise they're done. So yeah, they need to sweep. They need to sweep, and I know Connecticut's gonna be wild as well. The problem for Connecticut about what's happening in their court is that over half of the fans are there for Caitlin Clark. So they're at a disadvantage even in their own home court. So those factors, right? Because I don't think the Sun, I really don't know, but I don't know if the Sun has that big of a fandom. Not bigger than the Caitlin Clark one for sure. So I think it'll be hard for the Sun to battle that and never truly own a home court advantage. But it's gonna be worse. There's gonna be at least a good 40% of fans for the Sun on those 2 games, so that's good for them to kind of, try to ride out. But when they go to Indiana, it's gonna be 0% Connecticut Sun. So that's one thing they have to consider for sure. But yeah, my prediction, although it's like a 51%, 49%, 51%, I think the Fever win, 49% I think the Sun win. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but I'm giving a slight edge to the Fever to win this series. And like I said before, this is the best matchup for them for this first round, because you don't want to face the Liberty. We've talked over all this stuff, but the Liberty present so many different other problems. Same thing with the Aces. You don't want to face the Aces with Becky Hammond in that lineup. Oh hell yeah! We have Mohegan Sun in the front row at midcourt. That's awesome, Stuart. Several other Fever fans going too. There you go. So already in this chat alone, there's an example of a Fever fan that's gonna be in Connecticut, at least for Sunday. So yeah, this is the best matchup. This is the matchup that I think was best for them. You don't want to, like I said, you don't want to face the Liberty. You don't want to face the Lynx. You don't want to face the Aces. So this is the best matchup for them. So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited about this playoff. About this playoff game. It's gonna be crazy. The ratings are gonna go. I mean, that first game already, you can tell it's gonna break. It has to go plus 3 million viewers. Like, so that it's already gonna be a brand new record. There's no way it doesn't surpass that. And if the game goes to a game 3, oh my, that might go beyond 10 million viewers. If we're talking about game 3 on Saturday. Now they're competing with college. They might compete with college football. No, not Saturday. Is it Friday? Let me look at the Fever playoff schedule. Actually, I have it right here. Well, it's Friday for me. See, that's the thing. Like, I'm in Japan, so everything throws me off. This is the Thursday at 8:30. That's for me. And then Friday, so it would be a back-to-back game. Oh, okay. So it would be Thursday night. Not true. Hang on. Just make sure that I have my information correct. Yeah, it would be Friday. I mean, Thursday for you guys. Sorry. Thursday night would be game 3. And yeah, that's going to break. That's going to be the ratings is going to be over 10 million over 10 million viewership for sure if this game happens. And if this game happens, yeah, the Fever are going to the next round. So that's all I have for this live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed this live stream and we're able to learn something together. I appreciate the interactions. Antonino, Stuart, thank you for the chats. Yeah, my next video is going to be potentially a player spotlight. I'm still debating whether I'm doing the Aaliyah Boston spotlight or Katie Lou Samuelson player spotlight. But I'll have a player spotlight before the game on Sunday. But I hope all of you have a great weekend. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. This channel is growing a lot faster than I thought. So if you haven't already liked or subscribed, please go ahead and do so. But again, please be safe. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.